Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Southwest Center for Human Relations Studies at the University of Oklahoma Outreach for our special self-care webinar series. I'm Asia Mukes, Project Development Manager, and we are excited to offer this special feature for our NCORE community. It has certainly been a challenging time for all of us. Our hope is to remain connected during a time when we're all apart and provide support to you as we continue the conference's tradition of working to improve racial and ethnic relations on college campuses. As you know, we made the extraordinary and heartbreaking decision to cancel NCORE due to the ongoing concerns regarding COVID-19. In 33 years, this is unprecedented. What is even further unprecedented and much more exciting is our decision to move NCORE online. The conference, titled Connection 2020, an NCORE Experience, will be held June 23rd through 26th, 2020. It will be a memorable experience with virtual keynotes, breakout and poster sessions, as well as a virtual exhibit area for interested vendors and sponsors. Registration will begin soon. As I've mentioned before, we want you to stay connected to us, connected to your friends in the NCORE community, and connected to the work that still continues on despite our separation. So while you get yourself prepared for Connection 2020 and NCORE Experience, we want to make sure you are also taking care of yourself. This is the last of 3 in what we've titled our self-care series. The first 2 sessions, Grieving NCORE in the Time of COVID, Strategies for Self-Care and Engagement, and Self-Care in the Time of COVID, Strategies for Maintaining Intimacy, Physical Health, and Mental Well-Being, are available for viewing on our website. In addition to our self-care series, we want to provide learning opportunities in response to how COVID is impacting our communities of color. On Friday, May 22nd, we'll present a special webinar titled Racism and Infectious Disease, Understanding the Impact of COVID-19. This session will explore how marginalized populations are disproportionately affected by the global pandemic and serve as scapegoats for failed institutional policies and practices. As always, make sure you're live posting. We want to know where you're watching, so tweet, Instagram, and Facebook pictures from wherever you are with the hashtag NCORE and the hashtag Start the Conversation Online. You may end up in a very special NCORE video. Today, we have Dr. Shakti Butler, President of World Trust Educational Services, and Amikaeyla Gaston, founder and executive director of the International Cultural Arts and Healing Sciences Institute. Today, they will discuss the connections between creativity, community, healing, and play. Before I turn it over to them, however, I want to acknowledge the land that we sit on in Norman, Oklahoma. This land on which we inhabit is physically situated in the original ancestral homelands of the Kickapoo, Osage, and Wichita. We pay respect to the Kickapoo, Osage, and Wichita peoples, past, present, and future, and their continuing presence in the homeland and throughout their historical diaspora. I encourage you to think about the land on which you sit today. I also want to draw your attention to NCORE's inclusion statement. It is the expectation of the Southwest Center for Human Relations Studies that all participants of NCORE webinars enjoy a welcoming and inclusive environment free from all forms of discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. NCORE is committed to fostering an atmosphere that encourages the free expression and exchange of ideas. In pursuit of that ideal, NCORE is committed to the promotion of equality of opportunity and treatment for all NCORE participants in NCORE-sponsored events, regardless of gender, gender identity or expression, race, color, national or ethnic origin, religion or religious belief, age, marital status, sexual orientation, immigration status, disabilities, veteran status, or body size. With that, I am going to turn it over to our presenters. Thank you.
Hello. How are you all? It is so good to be here. Thank you. My name is Amikaeyla, and we are here with Dr. Shakti Butler, myself, and I think that it's time for a lovely song. Shakti, are you there, my darling?
I'm here. I'm just waiting. You know, I want to hear you sing.
You want to hear me sing first, girl? You're not going to do the whole thank you, hello? Yeah. All right, here we go. I, whoa, whoa, whoa. Dum da da dee die, dum da da day, hey, hey, set up. If on the mountain I could stand and see below the roads where I have been, whoa, the endless reach that holds me where I am. Could I believe what my heart knew all along? I said, now tell my feet I made it a home. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell my feet I made it a home. Home to NCORE. I said, now tell my feet I have made it a home. I said, tell my feet I made it home. Yeah, yeah. I love virtual clapping. It's like, silence.
I was clapping. Did you hear me? I'm clapping.
I saw you clapping. It was lovely.
I thought that was fantastic.
Oh, thank you, my darlings.
So, Amikaeyla, what a lovely and powerful welcome to this session. Because you always set the stage for everything that could possibly be. And we are inviting you, the people who are participating in this session today, we're inviting you to be. This is a non-traditional program. You don't have to take notes. We're not trying to teach anything. We're here and we want you to allow your imagination and your hopes for the future to arise. So Amikaeyla, I'm gonna ask you a few questions about who you are, okay?
Oh, I love it. Okay,
Okay, so let me set the stage by saying that I know, and I think probably a lot of people know, that you are an international performer, speaker, and performance coach. And you are a cultural arts ambassador for the State Department and the United Nations.
Correct.
I want to ask you if you would tell us a little bit about how you got to be who you are, as exemplified in your amazing TED Talk, which I would suggest everybody watch.
Oh, I am so excited to tell you all about that. But first, in this introduction period, I'm gonna ask you about you too, sister girl, so everybody knows who you are. Because when I met Shakti, it was a serious love fest. We were supposed to be co-mingling with other people at this event, and we just didn't. We sat in a corner and we just gabbed like we were long lost sisters, because she is doing such powerful work in the world. You really are. You're like the president of World Trust Educational Services that you founded, and the head of this beautiful nonprofit social justice organization, and making these amazing films that are influencing millions and millions of people all over the world because of the work that you're doing and the way that people are able to talk to one another after they see these movies and really explore deeply about restorative justice and healing practices and all the things that we're here to really learn about and study. I'm interested in how you got into that and what your vibration is with that. That's so exciting to me. And so, yeah, we're going to do some talking, honey.
Okay. So It's true. Amikaeyla and I do totally love each other. There's no doubt about it.
No
And
doubt.
Amikaeyla has done all the music for our last two films. So
Oh,
if
yes.
you haven't met Amikaeyla before and you're meeting her for the first time, you already know her work if you've seen Cracking the Codes or Healing Justice. But Amikaeyla, I really would love to invite you to share about how you got to be where you are and have made the commitment that you've made to heal people through music and art.
I'm very excited and I would love to. And I think that, what I would love to do first, if you're okay with this, Shakti, is to take people on a journey to really kind of ground and be into this space of the Conocimiento and be there. Does that sound good to you?
Sure.
Okay, cool. And then we can talk after we get people in the headspace to be in this place. So if you all wouldn't mind putting your feet on the floor, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen and show you all something beautiful so we can all kind of ground and be in this space in something called a conocimiento. Shakti, tell them what conocimiento means.
Well, Conocimiento means to know, and it's also about building community that came from the farmers, migrant farm workers movement that actually said that when we get to know each other and we work from our strengths, then we can make change in the world. And so Conocimiento is all about going inside and connecting with who you are on the inside and connecting with people on the outside so that you come together in wisdom and in strength. And so that's what Amikaeyla is going to be leading us in right now.
That sounds beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to show you all this beautiful picture of this gorgeous scene that I want to just set for you all while you all just kind of close your eyes and just be still in the moment and place your feet on the ground and your hands in your lap and just take a big breath in. And be here now. And know that in this being here now, we're going to just explore the beauty of our inner spirit, the ways that we share our minds, our thoughts, our feelings. And we're going to breathe in. Feel your feet on the floor. Close your eyes and breathe. And I want you to imagine that roots are coming out of the bottom of your feet. And going on down past the concrete, past the soil, past the rocks and the crystals and the shale. Past the underground rivers and our ancestors, all the way down to the molten core of the earth. And we'll then feel the warmth of the molten core energizing you. Cleansing your body and grounding you as you breathe in and breathe out. Feel the stress of your body just being released down into the earth, down into the soil all around you. And I want you to imagine that you are in this very peaceful state, this peaceful place, surrounded by this beautiful light and warmth. And as you breathe, imagine that you're at the ocean, sitting there in the sand. Feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. Hear the waves crashing around you. And it's just you on the beach. The wind is blowing through your hair and on your skin. You feel the sand in your fingertips and on your toes. And as you open your hands out, you extend your hands out in front of you and to the sides of you and all around you, just to be grateful for this moment, to be present, and to know that you are safe, that you are loved, that you are surrounded by peace. And you are surrounded by your ancestors, by the wisdom keepers that know you, that are connected to you. And even if they aren't connected to you, you have access to the wisdom of the universe all around you in this peaceful place. And just be here now. And I want you to imagine a time when you were able to muster the courage to accept the knowledge given to you by a sage, an ancestor, an elder, a teacher, an educator, a healer, a wisdom keeper. Remember that time. Remember that knowledge that you gained from these people. And even if it isn't a memory, it could be something now, something that you're receiving now, a message, something that you know to be true, to be real, to be in a space of grounding and of breath. And I want you to take that message in, hold it in your hands that this wisdom keeper has given to you, this elder, this teacher, this knowledge. And I want you to hold it in your hand and see what it is. Receive that message. Look at it, know it, understand it, hear it. If it's something, a song, a message, a breath, a word. And take it into you as you come away from the ocean and back up from the molten core, past all the rocks and the shale and the crystals and the knowledge, back up into your feet. Feel your toes, feel yourself in your seat, feel your feet on the ground, and slowly open your eyes. Yes, know that you're here with us. And I want you to take this moment, just a few minutes, to journal and share the message that you received. Just share with yourself, with some paper and a pen, just the message and the wisdom that you just received. And keep that peaceful feeling surrounding you as you return back here.
Thank you, Kayla. You have 2 minutes to journal, everyone. 2 minutes. We'll let you know when your time is up. So please bring your writing to a conclusion. In a moment, you bring a breakout room, and in your breakout room, I will give you some instructions which you can see on the screen. I'll repeat them again. So you should be in a breakout room now with people. So take a moment to see and connect with one another non-verbally. Just look around the room and see who you're with.
There we go. Hi, everybody. Oh, that was so beautiful. I think Shakti probably got bopped off for a second because the internet is going cray-cray. But I just want to say I had a ball just doing that. It's so cool to see everyone's group words that are coming up in the chat box and how exciting this is that we're all here and doing this. And I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm. And you,
oh, there's Shakti. Yay.
You know, I was here and I heard you, so thank you. And
Oh,
I want to say thank you to everybody too. I would like to invite one of our other hosts to read some of the words that have come up on the screen that you shared so generously from the exercise that you did. And we can think of this as a living poem. these are the words of what our hearts are expressing in this time, what we're longing for in order to make change. This is a time of change that we're in. And so I'm hoping that someone will read these words out loud for us.
Shall I read them? They're so beautiful.
Because I can't see them on my screen.
Okay, I got it.
That would be great. Thank
All
you.
right, I'm gonna actually sing them. Beloved community, agency, belief, able, greatness. Enveloped by singing and speaking and rhythm and beauty, ancestor, gift, experiences, wow, embodied bravery, agency, growth, love, peace, free, healthy beings, refuge, soul, everything, trust. These are gorgeous. Nane tate, divine love free, trust, future, decisions and life, and shared love, legacy and blessings. There's a lot more, but
Thank
there it is.
you.
That's our living poem song for the
Amikaeyla.
moment. Yay!
So my understanding is that we will be able to share this living poem with you in writing
As
when
a gift
the rest of
after it's over.
when we're done in a little bit over a week or two, you will receive a gift from all of them. One of them will be this living poem that you've all just participated in. So thank you very, very much. This is our opening, our grounding. These are the qualities and the values that we are embracing in order to partner with one another in creating a world that we all want to live in. So that being said, now I want Amikaeyla, please, please, please tell us your story about how you got to be sharing your gifts so brilliantly and beautifully with the entire world.
I love it. That's so cool. Thank you so much for asking. And actually, my life's work right now is dedicated to guiding and empowering people to heal themselves and discover their authentic voice while stepping confidently out into the world and accessing it, even when they feel like they aren't able to be heard. I work a lot with refugees and people who are in, dire poverty or in war-torn spaces. And so no matter their skin color or their status, whether they're in the home or village, anywhere, I try and go into these spaces and help them. And 23 years ago, I founded ICOSI, which stands for the International Cultural Arts and Healing Sciences Institute. And I formed it right after I was murdered. Yes, you heard me right. I was murdered in a hate crime in a tiny town called Hart, Michigan, by the mayor's son and 5 of his boys who were out on a joyride to really hurt people of color and of different ways of being. And it was at this women's music festival. It was my last blowout before I went back to medical school. And while I was waiting in line, it was too hot to stay in the car. So I went into this, this field of beautiful purple flowers. And while I was looking at the flowers, this giant truck filled with 5 drunk white men ran me over on purpose, dragging me 86 feet on a gravel road and crushing my ribs into my lungs and puncturing them. And I got a hemothorax and a pneumothorax and comminuted fracture. And, my right tibia and fibula were broken, my collarbones, everything. My eyelid was torn off. You can see the scar right there, all of this. And I got lodged underneath their truck, the back wheel of the exhaust. And it dragged me. And don't you know, these suckers tried to dislodge me and run me over again to get away. But the women of the festival surrounded the truck and they didn't move. And the boys couldn't get away because they were afraid for their lives. They wouldn't come out of the truck. The women were banging on the truck and demanding that they come out. And these 3 tiny women filled with adrenaline lifted that truck off of me with those guys in it and pulled me out from under there and saved my life. And actually, I died while I was under that truck. I had the whole out-of-body experience thing. And while I was dead, this one woman, she was a total superhero for real. She ran 5 miles. She called the police. The police came. The police arrived and said, "Get out of here, boys. One less nigger dyke in the world is fine with me." And I actually heard him say that. And they dragged my mangled corpse out from under the truck and they kept shouting at me to say my name and all the rest of this stuff. And it was a really powerful experience. And it took, you know, after being choppered to the hospital, because the policeman drove away. He didn't call the ambulance. The ambulance, the same woman had to run another 5 miles back to go get somebody to come back and bring an ambulance. And the ambulance came and choppered me to a burn unit. And all of this to say is that I can walk again, I'm fine, I healed, but it was not presto changeo, honey. But because while I was in the hospital, you know, the doctors would come in and they would say, well, she's got 3rd-degree burns on 70% of her body, so she's probably going to die. So we're going to go ahead. If she doesn't die, we're going to have to amputate her legs. And I remember saying, you know, maybe tomorrow, not today, maybe tomorrow, not today. And while I was in this extreme pain, I couldn't move anything except these 2 fingers on my body. I had to put myself in this self-hypnotic state so that I wouldn't be in so much pain, because no drugs help 3rd-degree burns. And when you're that's really burned all over all your body, you have to do something else. And the something else for me was music. It was music that helped me enter into this place of self-hypnosis and took me into this hyper-focused state of self-healing, so that while they were working on the outside of me, I could work on the inside of me. And after 2 years of that and coming out and still going off to medical school and all the rest of that stuff, but after that near-death experience is when I founded the International Cultural Arts and Healing Sciences Institute, because I knew that there were other ways that people needed to heal. And I was being called to bring music to those who felt hopeless and lost and afraid. And so, you know, because of that experience, I now currently partner with places like this, the U.S. State Department and embassies around the world, as well as United Nations and the Voss Water Foundation. And I serve as a cultural ambassador, speaking and performing and working with at-risk children, youth, and families and refugees, all of those whose social, cultural, and political situations limit their freedom and ability to access and express their voice. Everything's hindered. And I remember that feeling. I know that feeling because of what happened to me. And, you know, I've been on every continent and all throughout all their countries, but for the past 12 years, I've been primarily traveling specifically to places that have been ravaged by war, like Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, Palestine, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Sierra Leone, Nigeria. And, you know, I've met the most incredible people in these countries and these places, and their beauty and their strength and their resilience. It truly is the transformative power of spirit and imagination and creation, what we're talking about right now, in the face of social unrest and grave tragedy. And, you know, I think that the bottom line is when there's like a lack of hope and imagination due to poverty and anger and exhaustion and despair, there's the need for belief in magic and medicine. And that comes with the creative spirit of music. So when you see like a young girl use music and self-expression to find her true voice again, after as a refugee, she's had to be in hiding and be quiet and be lost. It's shocking. It's astounding to see her get her grit and her guts and her glory. And when she realizes that she has a voice and a right to her voice, it's stunning. It stops you in your tracks. And I have to tell you one more story before I finish.
I just want to say one thing, because I have another question, but I just want to share with everybody else that one of the first things that happened, or not too long after Amikaeyla and I met and knew that we were, you know, like
soul sisters. That's
sisters,
right. That's right.
That I saw some footage, Amikaeyla, of you singing with some young children in a refugee camp. I believe it was in Lebanon, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And what touched my heart was this one little girl who started singing a song that Amikaeyla had taught, and her voice was all shaky and scared. But then as she sang, you saw her whole body posture change. She sang with her full heart. You just watched her blossom right there
in front of your eyes.
And that's what Amikaeyla does. She is a waterer of the souls. She allows and supports people to step into the fullness of who they are through music. Wow. And it is so touching when you see it, because when you observe something like that, it brings something to life in you as well. So we connect in a very profound way. I just needed to say that, my sister. I know
I'm
you have
so
something
glad. That
else
was
you
so
wanna
beautiful.
say.
I don't have to say another thing, darling, because that was
No, I want you
perfect.
to talk about the young boy and the drumming.
No, she wants me to tell you the story about this beautiful young brother in Palestine when I was there. And they had called me to be like this international celebrity vocal coach for their first Palestinian idol. And I had to work with these refugee kids that had won over thousands of other people that had tried out. And they were going to be representing their whole refugee camp, these little individuals. And they were so nervous and scared, but I worked with them for weeks on how to do their thing and share their voice and be really empowered. And there was one young boy who was a teenager who was he was not paying me any mind. He was giving me no fever until the very end. And he came up to me and he said, "Sit on me." Sit means ma'am. "Sit on me. Can you teach me how to speak nigger?" And I was like, "Say, what did you just say to me, brother?" And then I said, "You know what? I need to back it up because we're in a whole other country. This might be a different thing. What do you mean by that?" And he was like, "I want you to teach me, hippity hoppity, teach me how to." I said, "Oh, you want to learn how to rap? That's a very different thing." But the beauty of this moment was that we got to have this very deep conversation about what that word means and about race in the States and what it looks like in our world, being a person of color where we are. And in that moment, he said, "Since I met you, I want to drum, not bomb now." And I found out in that moment that he was training to become a Unabomber. And it was so deep. And it really reminded me how our voices are primal power. And like when we learn to speak our authentic voice and speak our truth and our power, we can make this loud and rousing, lasting difference, truly. And we need to do that now. We're in an extraordinary moment in time. It's a time where we not only can make a difference, we must muster our courage to make that difference. Yeah.
So thank you, Amikaeyla. Was there any
Yay.
other thing that you wanted to add in this moment before we move on?
I would love to see everybody access their most beautiful inner selves and remember. Actually, I love this quote by Helen Keller. She said, "The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart." And so with all of that, I say to you all, I feel you all, even though you're just in these little chat boxes, I feel your heart, the fact that you're here, that you're present, that you're excited to just be and go on this journey with Shakti and I as we do a deep dive into like discovering imagination and play and what that means in all of this work, this social justice work, and in the context of being educators and in the education system. To me, that is just so heartwarming. And I'm so happy to be here right now with all of you.
Thank you,
That's all.
Amikaeyla. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shakti. You're a dream, I swear. Yeah, actually, okay, so now your turn, gorgeous. How did you get into this work? Like, what are you excited about? What is it that drives you? I mean, every time I talk to you, you're like on fire. I mean, she's just like, her brain works at 1,000,000 miles a minute. She's like, "Okay, we're gonna do this. And it's more than just having an active brain. It's having this drive that to create, to really create an equitable and just world. Like I've met a lot. Both of my parents were activists. My dad was a Black Panther. I know grew up in DC. I know about the movements, but you are really taking social justice work and movement work in a place and a space in the arts, like I do as an activist. And so, arts and activism is a very powerful thing. Every march has got a chant and a song, and the way that you're able to use it with film and not just have people watch a movie, you actually break that fourth wall and have people dialogue with one another. Like, that's groundbreaking. I want to know, what's your world, sister? Where did that come from?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, we talked about this before. We're with all y'all today, right? We talked about this. And it's so interesting because what always comes up for me first is my dad. I talk about my dad, powerful West Indian brother who was my first real teacher, descendant of shamans and enslaved peoples. And he used to say things to me like, everything that is was once a dream or an idea. If you're going to create change in the world, you have to create the seed for change. And when you plant a seed in the ground, you can't pick it up and dig it up every day to see how it's doing. You
Oh,
create
wow. Yeah.
seed, you plant it in the ground, and then our job is to nurture it, to take care of it, to bring it forth to reality. And so I'm very grateful that I had such a powerful teacher in my life. And I would like to talk to you today about imagination and the power of imagination and what it means to create the future. And I want to start it with sharing with you that when I was making the film Mira is a Privilege, Making Whiteness Visible, about 200 people came together to watch the film before it was completed so that I could get the feedback and the team could get the feedback that we needed to make any changes. And so all of that happened. But as we were talking with the audience, about 200 social justice advocates and educators, I asked people, I said, what happened if all of the good work that we were doing, all the good work that we are doing collectively was working? It was working. How would you know? And what people said to me, not just then, but many times since then, is, I'm so busy fighting the good fight, I don't have time to think about that in detail. It's just, let me get through this obstacle, these structures, these barriers are here in front of my face. And I have never forgotten that, and don't forget it, because that answer consistently comes up. But I remember my dad and him telling me and teaching me that the subconscious mind cannot take a joke. So I'd like to ask you if you are willing for a moment to just close your eyes. And if you don't want to close your eyes, you don't have to, but turn your attention inward. And if you will, imagine for a moment that you're holding a lemon in your hand. Just really stop what you're doing and hold a lemon in your hand. Can you feel its cool skin against your palm? Can you see its bright yellow color? Just take a moment and run your fingertips over its shiny textured surface. And now throw it up in the air and catch it again, and feel the weight of it in your hand as it lands. Great. Now, with your other hand, reach for a knife and cut the lemon in half. Can you feel yourself slicing through the skin, seeing the drops that come from the lemon? Pick up one half and slowly squeeze it into a glass and allow yourself to hear the drops as they fall. Smell the aroma of the fresh lemon juice. Oh, as you squeeze the lemon, some of it squirts in your eye. What happened? Often at this point, people wince, just as if they would if it had really happened. You can open your eyes now. What I'm saying is that the imagination is a powerful thing. You know it. If you're hungry and you think about your favorite meal, your mouth will fill up with water, but there's no food. And there was also no lemon. But the body responds. The sensory prompts allow it to respond to something that your brain interprets as real, even though it is not. So we are now living in the time of COVID. I have a few things that I want to share with you, but Amikaeyla, you can stop me anytime you like.
No, go for it.
So one of my favorite New York Times opinion columnists is David Leonhardt, and he wrote an article recently referring to the historian, his name is Walter Scheidel, who wrote a book a couple of years ago called The Great Leveler. And what Walter speaks to is what has caused economic inequality typically in the past. And what he is writing about is that disasters, whether they're natural or man-made, have been the driving force for change. And things like COVID have reordered and will continue to reorder this society. and rebalance power and wealth between the rich and everyone else. And he talks about this as the 4 horsemen of inequality reduction. They are war, revolution, state collapse, and plague. And this is where we are located in this time right now. So I'm going to ask you for just a moment to think about what has happened to you in the process of being immersed in COVID. And I'm asking in a particular way about what have been some of your ideas, some of your concerns, some of your breakthroughs even in terms of what you've had to come face to face with internally about who you are, while at the same time looking at the changes that you want to have happen in the world. And I bet you could write a lot about this. Waking up in the middle of the night, being uncertain about one thing or another, having to come face to face with your fears. These are lessons that inform change and what you hope for on the other end without really knowing what will happen. This is where imagination becomes so important. It's all about the power of intention. And for me, meditation is my pathway in, and people have their different pathways, but it's my pathway in to connect with that creative intelligence that is inside me that guides all of my work. And so what this is it's an invitation actually for us to be excited about what is possible and to challenge ourselves to think about alternatives. What if we could live together on this planet in a good way? What if we could imagine over the next 11 years, let's say, previously unimaginable transformation? What would that look like? If the world were changing, how would you know? What would be different? What if people could agree on global resilience and strategies and recovery in terms of economics and climate and so on? What if we redistributed power and wealth so that it was meaningfully shared and the inequity gap, we would say in present time, is closing? Do you know that in fact right now, Scotland, Iceland, and New Zealand, all countries led by women, have agreed that it's time to think differently about growth? They're kicking off the first well-being economy governments. We Go, it's called. It's a policy lab. And We Go is about governments rolling up their sleeves, linking arms, and walking together down a path that sees national success as being defined by the quality of its citizens' lives rather than the growth rate of a country's GDP.
There it is, right there.
People are doing this all over the world. We don't get that in the news so much. We get a little bit. The chief economist of the Scottish government said, We Go is about driving the well-being agenda in economic, social, and environmental policy making. And the reality is that we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but we do know that what we're likely to see more change in the next 15 years than in the past 100. And how are we going to be part of that change? We must be able to envision using our senses, our hearing, our tasting, our touching, our smelling, our knowing, our imagination, to envision what we want to have be the byproduct of our collective and individual lives.
Right.
So I want to share with you, do you remember, Ami, when we were talking about this time together?
Yes.
And we were talking about, excuse me, what we wanted to focus on. And I started reading to you.
This is so cool. I love hearing this. And then, okay, I'm not going to spoil it for everybody. Do it. Read it.
So I have this book. You'll have this on a link. It's called From What Is to What If, Unleashing the Power of Imagination to Create the Future We Want. And I just want to read you a little something from it and tell you how it's moving forth in the world. So I'm going to invite you now to use your imagination. And what if you were able to say something like this? In our community, the kids seem to have radically different feelings about school than they did 10 years ago. The education department's decision to eliminate testing to give ample space for unstructured play and to provide students with opportunities within the community to acquire meaningful skills that enable them to live happy and healthy lives by their own definition means that most kids here now love to go to school. My son, for example, upped his cooking skills by spending a week at a local restaurant. My kids and I approach the school through intensive food gardens planted and managed by the students. We walk into a building where we are greeted by the smell of baking bread and the sound of happy chatter. And then when we say our goodbyes, I pick up a public bicycle and head into the city on one of our cycle networks. With more bicycles and fewer cars on the road, air quality has improved, the public health along with it. I call into my favorite bakery to buy bread, launched 15 years ago on the premise that baking is the new Prozac. The bakery's mission is to provide meaningful work opportunities for people who lack housing and job security and who struggle with mental health. The bakery prioritizes local produce, grows a thriving rooftop garden, and uses bicycle-powered delivery around town. With the bakery support, many of its employees have launched other successful businesses across the city. There's much more here. I'm just going to skip and tell you that one of the things that has happened as a result of our rebuilding our community from the ground up, I'm working half a day today as a part of my 3-day work week. Adopted nationally 10 years ago, the 3-day work week, together with the introduction of universal basic income, has resulted in measurably lower levels of anxiety and stress across all income classes. People spend free time working on community projects and enjoying their lives. And a scheme was recently launched where up to 10% of the staff from any company at any given time are embedded in the local community, offering managerial, marketing, financial planning, and project management skills to organizations that are working in various ways to support residents and make one community more resilient. So I'm reading to you, this is an example of something that's actually happening, begun in a town in England called Whiteness. And there are now over 50 countries that are working in this way. It's called a transition movement. And it's been growing since 2005. And it's about communities stepping up to address, because you know the government is not going to take care of all of this, right? But it's about stepping up to address the big challenges by starting locally. And people come together, they're crowdsourcing solutions, they're seeking to nurture a caring culture focused on supporting each other both as groups or as wider communities, and reclaiming the economy, sparking entrepreneurship, reimagining work, reskilling themselves, and weaving webs of connection and support that include economic dignity. It is an approach that has spread now to over 50 countries and thousands of groups in towns, villages, cities, universities, schools. And one of the key ways it spreads is through telling inspiring stories. And we really hope that you feel inspired to find your way into taking part with making this kind of change happen in whatever community, as they're doing in England, South America, North America, Spain, Italy, Australia, Slovenia, Japan, and Holland. There are places all over the world embarked on creating the future today. So how does this make you feel? What does this make you think?
Makes me feel good.
I see some of your faces. Some of you are smiling. Some of you kind of leaning back. You know, I can't see everybody, but when I read this, I felt like I was on fire.
Yes.
I'm like, I want to not just talk about why we are where we are and break it down for people who don't understand and don't want to understand. I want to come together with you, all of you, in our own ways that we can, to focus on what needs to happen to make this the kind of world we want to live in.
Yes. Yes.
So
yes.
that's what I want to say right now about why it's so important for us to reimagine the future.
Yeah.
So
It's where we get our hope. It's where
yes.
that creative intelligence that you were speaking about before really reignites that flame of hope that so many times gets dampened by society, especially in one that's so driven by, you know, corporate economy that doesn't support, you know,
Oh, you
the
mean
general populace.
capitalism? Are we
Yes,
talking about capitalism?
we
Oh,
are
that.
talking about
Yes,
capitalism.
we
We are
talked
talking about
capitalism. Yes,
exactly. And I think, you know, I think that everybody's got stories that they want to share. Could we do a breakout room now? Is this a good time to do a
we
breakout
are
room?
going to do a breakout room now.
Yeah.
And I would like to invite you. Can we bring up the slide, please, so we can talk about what you're going to be doing in the breakout room? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to share with you the instructions of what you will be doing. When you enter your breakout room, you will have a chance to speak to one another, and you will be talking about what it is, if you were able to choose one thing that you would like to see made manifest into the future as if it were happening today. Within the field of education, let's narrow it down so that we have a particular focus. What is one thing that if you could work with other people and make that change happen, what would it be? And so in this breakout room, you will have 10 minutes to share your ideas. So I'm going to give you a minute right now just to pause and think about it. What is one thing that comes up for you that you would like to see change within the field of education, and present that to one another as if it were happening right now? But the more we start thinking about what we want, the ideas begin to grow. It's like we water the possibilities of what can be, and then we can actually come up with things that we didn't even know we were thinking about. And that's how change happens. And the idea of us being able to build a platform where we can connect with one another and inspire one another to go for what needs to be done is really what this is all about. So I want to thank you so much for sharing what you shared. And now I'm turning it back to my sister friend, Amikaeyla. People have been adding to the chat box, Amikaeyla, so that we can see what people have come up with as some ideas, as some very preliminary but thoughtful ideas.
I mean, wow, let's see. We've got money and resources distributed equitably to all schools. That's right. Seeing more diversity in our literature and history classes in all levels. Yes. Solid pipeline for students from a young age all the way through their professional careers. That's right, as well as emphasizing the importance of different learning styles. Absolutely. I know from our group that I was just in, we were talking about financial literacy, especially for first gen pops, and talking about like how as first generation folk, we're so busy trying to access the real, like get the next real meal versus thinking about cryptocurrencies and things that other billionaires think about, because they're just moving air and not really working in the real. We talked about a solid pipeline for students at a young age, all the way through their professional careers. Oh yes, we said that. Asset-based language and culturally based, oops, it's going fast. Epistemologies for research, no more with white science only as options. Yes. Okay, there's tons of stuff here. It is some good, juicy, hopeful, inspired, imaginative magic that actually can be concretized and put into stuff that is workable, which is what is so cool about having this space for all of us to be able to talk and chat. We didn't want to leave our breakout room, girl. We were like, wait, not just one more minute. No. Ah! So I'm excited. I'm very hopeful that we can all be able to access these chats as some kind of like Word doc when after we're all done, because their ideas are here. That's just so profound along with our living poem. So that's my hope. I think that that can happen.
Yeah.
Right, Asia?
Yeah, I don't know about you, Amikaeyla, and you know, I feel like when we're speaking, we're also speaking because we can't really all talk to each other at the same time here in this format, or really hardly any other, but we would at least be able to hear each other. But it's very critical, it seems extremely critical to me, that we create the stories of what we want to have happen in broadly. Because people, we need to know what the benefits will be from making these changes, and how uplifting people, particularly those people who are marginalized, lifts up the entire population.
That's absolutely
But we don't talk about what could work or what would work and what will work if we work together and,
That's right.
and do the work of change.
That's right. And that's why I'm so excited about our talk show, is that we're going to create this space where we're able to hear these healing sounds of hope and collaboration and quantum imagination from all of these nuanced thought leaders and artists and activists. If you all don't know, Shakti and I are doing this show called Being Alive to the Future, which is going to be a 35-minute fabulous deep dive into cool things where we meld the arts and activism and have these nuanced conversations by thought leaders from around the world. And we're excited to have it happen and have you all come check it out. I think it'll be fabulous. Yes, yes. And, you know, I think that that's what gives me hope, is when I see all of us suddenly feel, because I think in the broad sense, in general life, quote unquote, or out in the world, we might feel impotent to share our thoughts and our ideas in ways that we are inspired to create change and things that are sustainable. We don't feel like there's a forum for us to share that stuff. But in these kind of spaces where it's intimate, these little breakout rooms, where all of a sudden you feel empowered to share your voice, your thoughts, your hope, your vision, we can actually work with those things and hear what everybody has to say. And to me, that's the hope. That's the crux of all of this, is feeling and hearing our own individual voices shared with ourselves as a collective. It's totally exciting.
So we have a little bit of time left. If there's a feature that I'm not seeing on here, so help me out. I think it's a raise hand feature, but I'm not seeing it. But
Yeah,
I don't see it. You don't see it either.
Maybe Asia knows where it is, or one of our other amazing hosts from NCORE. Oh, there's a raised hand. I see it. Yvonne Guerin raised your hand. Okay. Oh, there's cool. Okay. Yes.
Go ahead. You have the floor, Yvonne.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you, ladies, so much for what you were offering. Really appreciate it. I also, in my breakout room, was like wanting it to go on even further. Really, really appreciated just taking the time to be able to listen to each other and having the space to be able to dream and think about and imagine the future. It's clear to me, you know, as a nurse, it's clear to me that we have to think differently about what it means to care for ourselves. And I found myself being pulled into all kinds of directions because there's lots of problems in the world to try to solve. And I thought, I have to not be distracted by that. If I would imagine what the future would look like, where would I put my energies? And I went right to the soil, because I recognize that everything that we are going to be is going to come out of there. And I wanted to connect there and start there and put some energy and focus there in terms of my thoughts. And I just want to thank you, ladies, for just supplying the space to be able to think through some of those things. Thank you.
Yes, yes, Yvonne. Yes, the soil, the soil, the soil.
And we have to thank NCORE too. I want to say, Yvonne, and to all of you, because we wouldn't be here and able to do this. Such tremendous support and encouragement, and really working with us. As you can see, we're all getting used to, at least I am, this new technology. And I'm sure we'll get better at it, and we'll keep going. Does anybody else have anything that you would like to share or ask?
Yeah, there's a bunch of raised hands. I just don't know how to do it. Let's see. Mary has a raised hand. I clicked it, but I don't know. Oh, there's Mary. Mary Seifert. Oh,
there you go.
Hi.
Unmuted. Yes, it's your article and story is so amazing, and with all of this, and I would love to see this continue, and love to see the universities kind of take heed to what our suggestions are. I don't know if it goes, this is going to be extended to anyone to be reviewed and listened to, but it sure is, it's enjoyable to see kind of the group effort has the same perspective of moving forward.
Absolutely. Yes. I see some snaps, 2 snaps in a circle. That's right, Mary. I hope so too. Yes. Let's get this good thinking out into the world.
I think we can take one or two more if they're brief.
Oh gosh, it's almost over. What? So fast. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else?
There are 3 participants who have a raised hand, but I have to tell you, I don't see how to facilitate that.
Well, I raised my hand. I could just go ahead.
Yes, okay.
Oh, thank you, Brittany. Hi.
Thank
Reading
you.
way too much. I'm like, I raised my hand. I'll just talk.
Thank you, Brittany. Thank you.
I really just wanted to, and I saw that the Facebook link was dropped earlier. This was extremely inspirational. I very much enjoy things like this to find a balance that I don't typically get in the workplace. And so this was really enjoyable, and I'm hoping that either from your Facebook or maybe the resources or things you'll send after, that we'll be able to know how to be more involved in more things like this. Because again, for me personally, it gives me a drive that I really need to be successful in my work. And a big goal of my work right now is to change the culture of how we use technology both in and out the classroom. So I would really love to be more in touch with the things that you guys do.
Yes, thank you, Brittany. Yes, we're going to have a contact slide at the end where you all can reach us.
Right.
Perfect.
Sure, for sure.
Yeah. And we'd also like to get any of your feedback in terms of what worked for you, what didn't work for you, what you would like to see, because we have the distinct honor of being able to host something like this with the support of NCORE.
Yeah.
And then for the ongoing we're doing, it's going to take everybody's voices to really bring these dreams and these imagination ideas that are informed by what we understand about the inequities in the world and who we want to be.
Yes.
We need these ideas to be given life and to come together, because it's only with collective work that we can actually make change, fueled by the imagination that we have, the vigor that we have to ask for the kind of change that's going to lift people and have them become and step into their greatness in this world. It's going to take all of us.
Yes. Wow. Well, I want to say before time runs out that I'm so grateful, Shakti, to be here with you and with NCORE and with all of you all around the nation and around the world. It's an honor and a blessing, and I'm so excited to be here. And we have to remember that we who believe in freedom cannot rest. And if you know this song, unmute yourself and sing along. Say now, we who believe in freedom cannot rest until comes. I love Zoom when everybody starts singing, talking. It's like total beautiful mayhem. Believe in freedom cannot rest.
All right.
We who believe in freedom cannot rest.
You want to be let's go. Let's go.
Everybody clap,
Let's
clap, clap,
go.
clap, clap.
Let's go.
Yeah. Oh. We did a birthday Zoom for a friend of mine, and it was like happy birthday.
I recorded that. That was awesome.
Yes. Excuse me. This is Jackie Jackson. I'm sorry to break in.
Oh no, please
But
break in.
earlier I seen something on TV and it kind of touched me. And this happened so many years ago. You all know about Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson. And if we as a group could just sing just a tad bit of that would lift our spirits. And
We
put us
are the
in this-
world.
Yes.
We are the
Are the
children.
We
are
the one.
To make a better.
So let's
Start
giving.
Let's like
I hear that just now. Hold on.
choice we're making.
That's right. Sing it, brother.
Tomorrow lives.
We'll make a brighter day. Just
For
you and
you
me.
and me.
Yes.
We are the
world.
I love it.
Oh
We
my
are the
God.
world. That
You're the one.
We're gonna get through this together.
We're gonna get through this together. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing, life-giving experience.
Ashe. Yay.
Thank you. There.
Thank you.
Got this.
Yourself.
Got this.
We'll see you out there in the
And here's
world.
some references, and our next slide that's coming up is our connect how to reach us?
Yes.
Yes.
Great.
There you go. That's right.
Look, everybody's screenshotting.
Hello,
Take that
everyone.
picture. Do it.
Oh, wait.
So, so as we leave this space, everyone, just want to give you the opportunity to reach out to our wonderful presenters, our wonderful facilitators today. There's Dr. Butler's information.
Do we have Amikaeyla's information as well?
Yeah. And Ms. Amikaeyla is her information. Feel free to screenshot. We will be providing you with a video recording of this webinar in approximately a week or two, and a special gift from our presenters. So look out for that from your email. Also, in order for us to provide you with content such as this and other future programming, we ask that you fill out the survey. You can take a picture with the QR code, or you can use the link. You'll also receive a link tomorrow in your email for the evaluation. That would be greatly appreciated.
Lastly,
so as we leave today, I want to leave you all with a special message about social justice work.
Love is really interconnectedness. Love really is that healing. But it's not this, symbolic word. It's love is work. Love is sacrifice. Love is truth. Love is your ability to really look at what is real and then make a commitment to make it more pure, make it more sacred. That's the true work. That's the true social justice work.
Thank you all for attending. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. It was awesome to see your smiles.
Bye.
Thank you.
I miss you already.
Bye.
Thank you. Love to everyone.
Bye.
Thank
It was
you.
fabulous.
Thank you.
So
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mwah.
Mwah.